If Michigan pulls the upset, are the Wolverines in the college football playoff?
Coaches don't lose when they come on Bear Bets, period.
People talk about this home field advantage in this game as something that I don't perceive it to be.
I also think there's a lot going on in Texas that is not public. When the break does happen, some things are going to come out.
They did not profile like a 10-win team. They profiled like 7-win type teams. I can't wait to let 18 and 22-year-olds push it.
I made a call, to Vegas. I said, look, we actually need the favorites.
What's going on, everyone? Happy Thanksgiving. Bear Bets Podcast. Bear, Geoff, Sammy P. As always, you're going to get the one college football show this week. So here we are to look ahead and look forward to. And again, was never a doubt up there at Autzen on Saturday, fellas.
Well, we tried to make it a little closer than it probably had to be, but Oregon gets the win. Bear, I'll tell you what, man. I feel like the reaction to the win, I mean, it's great. Oregon moved up in the AP poll. We might move up in the college football playoff poll. It does feel, Sammy, like the reaction is a lot more than maybe it should be. I mean, USC gets us 15th overall, but I'll take it. I'll take it for us. Good win for Oregon.
I did think, given how my season has gone, though, Bear, I was fully expecting to lose Oregon -9.5 and -10. You just saw it coming, but luckily Oregon was able to put enough pressure in the pocket. That's a big win. And now the record at last check is, coaches don't lose when they come on Bear Bets, period.
A big zero in the loss column. So we'll see if any of the coaches from Conference Championship Saturday want to join in, or does someone want to join us next week to do a little lobbying and campaigning for the college football playoff. But back on the field, Oregon, obviously, Geoff, a game you played in, Ducks versus Dogs. Oregon are at 6.5, 7-point favorite. Yeah. Concerns?
I mean, we're just not healthy on offense. I mean, I don't know how much big concern that is on the road. We played tough road games. We went to Iowa. We went to Penn State, but we're probably down our center in this game, I would imagine. Might be down the left tackle. Probably not the right tackle. We're down our wide receivers. I don't think they're going to be back for this game. Got to win by a point. We're better, right, Bear? I mean, that's what you do. If you're a better team, you win on the road in a rivalry game. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But, we talked about this game, Oregon and USC, sort of where the money was going to be at, Sammy. I think the money's all going to be in Washington. I think people are going to hammer Washington as we get closer to kickoff here, looking at Oregon's roster as an offense heading into this game.
As we talk about this on Monday, I'm curious where the total is going to close. We opened about 52, and now we're up to 53, 53.5. Wow. Bear, I'm not in a rush. If I get 54 or even higher, I'd be happy to go under, given what Geoff just talked about with the Oregon injuries, the offensive line. I also think the Ducks front is going to really give Washington's offense some issues, just size-wise. They're just bigger in the trenches. And I don't think Washington's going to move the ball like USC did, because USC has an NFL-capable quarterback. You got weapons at receiver. I don't see those same issues at Washington. So at 54 or higher, I'd be looking under in this one.
Yeah, I was a little surprised when you said the number had moved up, because I would certainly be looking at the under there. Speaking of an under, there was never a doubt that this game was going under. Utah, Kansas State, like with 3.5 minutes to go, was a 97% win probability for K-State. And somehow, it must be nice to have a league look out for your best teams and pick up a passive interference flag in the end zone that ultimately could have ended the game, but didn't. Utah survives. BYU survives despite what was it for Cincinnati? 3 missed field goals, 2 turnovers, and a stop on downs inside the 15. Is that what the Bearcats had on Saturday? So the two Utah schools kind of living dangerously and living right for sure.
Do you know how hard it is to lose a game if you're Kansas State when you rush for 500 yards? You know how difficult that is to lose a game when you rush for 5. They rushed for like, I think it was nearly 490, something like that. Nearly impossible to do. And look, you talk about the Bearcats, man. I mean, they ended a drive at the BYU 3 with no points. They ended a drive at the BYU 23 with no points. They ended a drive at the BYU 22 with no points. They ended a drive at the BYU 30 with no points. They ended a drive at the BYU 17 with no points. I mean, Sammy, feels like the Bengals, the Bearcats, I should say, were the right side here. It just didn't get home. This feels like BYU continuing to live on the edge. It's why they're not getting the respect their fans believe they deserve.
It was maddening to be on Cincinnati. And we talked about this on Bruce and the Bear. The sports books were just begging for the dog to cover there. And it wasn't like they couldn't move it, to your point. I mean, they were getting in the red area, just couldn't convert. And then, the announcer going into that first field goal try, oh, the kicker's almost automatic. And then he booted it so far off and then continued to miss two more. Late touchdown for BYU makes this final score a little deceiving. 26-14. It was a one-score game in the fourth quarter. BYU just got a couple of offensive plays, got a couple first downs. That was maddening to be on Cincy because they were right there the whole game.
Yeah, they certainly left a lot of meat on the bone, and Kansas State losing that game was just unfathomable from where they were late. But the Big 12 schools survive and still in that college football playoff mix. And when we get back, grant some more lines we're looking at in games coming up holiday weekend.
All right, we're back. Let's talk about the big game here. Time for the Super Six, sponsored by DraftKings. Bear, both have columns out later in the week. One of the questions will be, what will the outcome be between Ohio State and Michigan? Ohio State right now hovering about a 10-point favorite in the big game. We know over the last couple of years, they have not been able to finish this game out. Bear, I actually lean very heavily to the Buckeyes in this one. I'll kick it to you first. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, I do too. Certainly, as we record this on Monday, there's certainly rumors and things circulating about the status of both Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate and their availability and contribution level to this game. And obviously, that would be a big loss if either of them are either out or not 100%. Feels more like an under game to me because either of those guys are out. I would expect Ohio State to play a little bit more ball control, and I don't know how many points Michigan is scoring to begin with. So sitting here on Monday, I would be looking for under 44.5 as my bet on this game.
This could easily go to 43 or lower, especially if some of the things that we're hearing about, Bear, when you get texts and I get texts about somebody, There's definitely some smoke there. I got one guy who says Jeremiah Smith, he's 50-50 to play. One guy said it was worse. I don't know. We're going to find out over the course of the week. You'll hear more. I'm sure I'm going to hear more. It sounds a little more positive on Tate, though. They expect to have Tate out there. With Smith, there's not this optimism, at least yet. But again, it's Monday. This game is on Saturday. Point spread down to 9.5 at Pinnacle, which is a big broker in this market. So to come through the 10 is pretty impressive early in the week. Opened 11 offshore, and now we're at 10 at most books, 9.5, though, at Pinnacle. Hard to imagine it gets much lower. But then again, if Jeremiah Smith doesn't play, they're going to bet Michigan more.
So here's my concern about if Smith doesn't play. If Tate plays, it lessens a little bit. As we saw against Rutgers, now it was a look-ahead spot, absolutely. You didn't have your two wide receivers, but it wasn't as clean up front. I mean, the Ohio State offensive line is not what it was last season, guys. And this is a problem if they try to muck this game up like they did last year, right? They tried to run the football, control the line of scrimmage, and what did Michigan do? Thank you. This is the game we want to play this ugly game. So if they're out their wide receivers and they try to play that style of game again, that's not really what they want to be, I think, right, against Michigan. So look, I think the injury news will matter throughout the week. If Tate's back, you feel much better about it. But I was a little bit unimpressed with the Ohio State offense against Rutgers. Again, look ahead spot, fair to talk about that in college football, but knowing that we just have to run the football and win against Rutgers, it wasn't as pretty early on. They need a defensive turnover, kind of make that game more than it was. Obviously, Rutgers wasn't scoring very much. And the real issue here, too, as well, is that Bryce Underwood has one speed. He throws the football. He can run the football, obviously. And I think Matt Patricia against the Michigan offense is a big advantage for the Ohio State defense. So, to your point about the under, it's very likely this game is sort of a very tight, low-scoring game if Ohio State's wide receivers are not available.
If Michigan pulls the upset, are the Wolverines in the college football playoff? Do they jump all over the two Big 12 teams, Miami and Vandy?
I guess it depends on what Miami does off that scare they had. They only won by 10.
Yes,
after
the scare.
Being up and the scare.
Yeah, the scare Miami had at Virginia Tech where they led by multiple scores the entire game. As I joked, like the scare was actually, I guess, maybe flying in and out of Roanoke in windy conditions. I guess that might be the scare. Good grief.
To be just, I mean, Michigan. I mean, you saying you get four Oregon, assuming Oregon wins.
Yes.
4 Big Ten teams in. I don't know, Bear. I don't think Michigan's gonna win. Plus, look, honestly, as an Oregon fan, I'd rather sit out the Big Ten championship game. So I'm kind of pulling for Ohio State to win this one as well. So it hasn't even approached my mind that Michigan can win this game. They can, obviously, but I also think winning the championship last year. I know. I think winning the championship last year and where Ohio State is now mentally, I think they're going to come to this game a little bit differently. Last year's game plan was so bad, and the coordinator of that game plan just got fired yesterday as the Raiders offensive coordinator. So I think that they're going to be more prepared in this game than they were last season.
I wonder who Urban's going to pick on Saturday, and I also wonder who Portnoy is going to pick.
I can't imagine. Yeah, I can't imagine. I wonder if Charles Wood's going to be on the set. And I wonder who he's going to pick too. Maybe Derek Jeter will fly in as well. It'd be fun. And maybe Tom Brady. Name your favorite Michigan alum, right?
Just bring them all in. Look, Ohio State's got to prove they can win this game, obviously, right? I mean, that's a big part of this, and so. Should be a fun game, right at noon. Hopefully Gus can keep his voice. There's gonna be a moment in this game. I mean, his voice almost lost last year in the interception. That was it. Sawyer had the interception that Gus almost lost his voice in that game last season. Let's turn to the SEC. Texas A&M on the road at Texas here, guys. Texas is playing better. They're like I think that we have to consider, Bear, that this is going to be more competitive. The number is only 2.5. Do you buy the Texas offensive resurgence lately?
They played Arkansas, right? It was allowing like 4 points a drive, something like that. Right?
But you should play well against bad teams. It's something I bring up all the time. Like they have been played poorly against bad teams early in the season. They're playing better now against the poor teams.
It wouldn't surprise me if Texas won this game. I mean, I'm going to sit this one out. I think the talk about Texas making the playoff at 9-3 is kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I don't have a play on this game right now. But it wouldn't surprise me if Longhorns pulled the mild upset here, Sammy.
I saw Steve Sarkisian last 10 games as a dog is 2-8 ATS. That ain't going to cut it. So that's the definition of not being able to deliver against better teams. They beat up on bad teams and they can't beat good teams. 2-8 ATS last 10 as a dog. I also think there's a lot going on at Texas that is not public, and we know Sark is not going to be there forever. I mean, it's just not going to happen. But when the break does happen, some things are going to come out about what's been going on in Austin. It's been a weird year down there.
Ooh, are we breaking? No phone today, Sammy, right?
No phone.
The phone's not with you. I do think part of this weekend, though, is these schools, their coaches are leaving, right? Like we know they're leaving. And how does the team respond? I've been in that spot as an Oregon fan. It didn't go very well at the end of the season. There's a lot of teams around the country that are going to have coaches that are talking and leaving. Like game's over Saturday, they're on a plane, like they are gone. They are gone. Maybe even Friday night, they're at their new school. I wonder if that matters for any matchups this weekend. Another big one here is the Iron Bowl between Alabama and Auburn here. Bama 5.5-point favorite. Bear, I got to ask you this question. I've not played Auburn before. But people talk about this home field advantage in this game as something that I don't perceive it to be. Why do people talk about this? Like this is the hardest spot Alabama is going to play in any given season.
You look at the history of the rivalry. Like ever since they finally got the game at Jordan-Hare. Remember they played it in Birmingham for a long time. And Auburn finally getting here is a big deal. And Alabama has struggled in this game. You look at the quarterback with Deuce Knight now at quarterback for Auburn. Look, I mean, FCS team last year. But I wonder, like, I like to ask and pose this question in my weekly email, more pressure this week on Kalen DeBoer or Ryan Day. Like, if Auburn beats Alabama, Alabama's out of the playoff. And you go from all the goodwill, you beat Georgia, you overcome the loss to FSU, and now all of a sudden you're sitting here on the outside looking in at 9-3. So I think there is a ton of pressure here on Alabama. I think it's perfect Auburn with the way things have gone this year. I'm going to see which way this line goes. If I can grab a, maybe you think we might be able to get a 6 here with Alabama, or do you think we might see this number go the other way?
Got 6.5s popping right now. If Bama loses this game, they're going to drop the bow at Happy Valley themselves.
Well, 6.5, I will happily accept that. We'll see if maybe there's some other upsets on the horizon. in the well,
Wait,
yeah,
Sammy,
we get this we
you
should
mention,
be.
did you just mention you say tailing the board of Death Valley? Is that what I just heard?
I didn't say that.
I thought Sammy just said that. He's going to drive. If they
I
lose,
said
they drop
Happy
off at Death
Valley.
Valley. Oh, Happy Valley. Okay, Happy Valley. Okay, I thought it was Death Valley. Okay, Happy Valley. Ooh, the board of Penn State. Interesting. Okay, dropping nuggets around here. Welcome back to the show. Some more games to cover here as we get into Thanksgiving weekend, also coaching carousel weekend. The Egg Bowl, 12 Eastern, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. This game is on Friday. Bear, I think the intrigue for this one is the tweet that gets sent out that Lane Kiffin's going to Florida get sent out like in the middle of the game. I remember when Oregon played Oregon State a few years ago.
Are you breaking
LSU?
news?
LSU. I'm just guessing. I don't. Is it LSU? Is it LSU today? Sometimes Florida is LSU. Seems like LSU.
I think it's going to be LSU.
When does the tweet get sent out? Because I remember when Jonathan Smith left Oregon State, they're in the middle of the Civil War. The tweet went out that Smith was leaving Oregon State. Does this happen during the game, before the game, after the game, Bear? Because Lane Kiffin is gone. That statement from the AD about we'll worry about this basically after the Egg Bowl. Well, if you had an extension with him and he was going to stay, you'd say that, right? So he's definitely gone. When does this announcement happen, Bear? What's your betting your betting wager on this one?
I would expect a tweet to come out during the fourth quarter or so, or second half. Yeah. That once it starts leaking out and the Jimmy Sexton empire gets going, I would expect the news to come out. I think it's going to be LSU, but you got a couple of great, really impactful college football playoff games early on. You got the Egg Bowl at noon. You got Utah going to Kansas is a big favorite at noon, and certainly the off the field story that Lance Leipold shared with his wife, and Kansas's defense really not putting up much of a fight lately. Maybe KU can pull an upset there to maybe shake things up in the college football playoff rankings. I kind of think that Mississippi State peaked a little bit early. I think this number is coming down. I think a lot of people see this as a potential upset spot. I know Ole Miss's defense is the worst unit statistically amongst these college football playoff contenders, but I don't know. Miss State, ever since that loss to Texas, it's a team that looks like they kind of had their will broken. So, yeah, they need a win to get to a bowl, but I'm not sure they get it here.
I'm curious, Geoff, if you know your coach is leaving and you feel very strongly that he's leaving. So let's say you're in that locker room and you're a player. Are you guys playing hard or not? I don't know.
Well, okay, so I think you're still playing hard, but there's strong evidence that it does affect the locker room, right? We've seen this various teams over the years where they sort of play worse in November and then their coach leaves and you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, right, Sammy? I think they still play hard, but I think it's more about the preparation. And also, too, with the portal now, right? Like if your coach is leaving and you're a player at Ole Miss right now, you're trying to find a home for next season. So you're talking to, I would imagine your agent or representative is talking to other schools. Like, are you really as focused as you can be this week preparing for a rivalry game? So I don't know. There's no concrete evidence that they're going to play poorly, but we've seen over the years in this spot, I'm sure Bear has instances as well, where like coaches are about to leave and the school and the team just play a lot worse. It feels natural. But to your point about Mississippi State, can they take advantage of this? I don't know. But I think it's fair to look at Ole Miss and maybe think they're not going to play their best game. Bear, I have a question for you, though, about college football playoff. If Ole Miss wins the game and Lane Kiffin leaves, how's the college football playoff committee, as we record this before the standings come out, obviously, how do they respond to that next week?
I think in a 12-team playoff, it's going to be hard to drop them from 6 or 7 all the way out, sitting there at 11-1. It's a little bit different than a 4-team playoff, and your quarterback being injured and not being able to play. But I think if they win, they're fine. If they lose, you've given the committee all the ammunition you need to have team without your head coach, team 10-2. Not playing in a conference championship game. You look at the poor defense. You look at the resume against other teams. You've given the committee everything they need to drop you all the way out. So 11-1, you win, you're in. 10-2, you lose, you're out.
I think that's probably fair. Look, I think that Oregon might pass them the standings this week anyways. It's more of a selfish question. Can Oregon have a 6th seed and have the ACC team come to town is really what I'm worried about. Quickly on Friday, Georgia Tech. I mean, does Georgia just name the amount of points they score in this game? I feel like this is going to be probably a game where Georgia's in the mid 40s, right, guys?
Over. Take the over.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll be very curious to see what the Georgia team total is here. That was Kirby Smart to a T last week. We never covering that big number. Perfect type of win, and I think they'll put up they're salivating looking at that Georgia Tech defense.
A few more games to talk about here, guys, before we wrap it up for the early preview of the college football weekend. Bear, Miami at Pitt. Look, I marked Narduzzi for his comments about the game against Notre Dame. He was right. That game didn't matter, and they came out and whooped butt against Georgia Tech. That was an impressive performance from Pitt. Miami comes to town now. Pitt is what a 6.5 point underdog here. What are your thoughts on Miami Pittsburgh?
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. This has been the narrative about Miami. They get in these positions and have lost games. 2017, they lost a game at Pitt. Last year, they lost a game at Syracuse with college football playoff implications. They would have gotten in the ACC title game, and it didn't happen. But the way Miami has played the last couple of weeks, I know it hasn't been the greatest competition, but they've gone out and completely taken care of business. Their defense is an elite unit. I think their front is going to have a field day on Henschel in that Pitt passing game. I would be surprised if Miami went up there and lost, and I think they're going to make for a very uncomfortable conversation within that college football playoff selection room.
I want Miami to win. Believe it or not, I have them to make the playoff. I don't.
I got Notre Dame to make the playoff too. They both should be in. I'm with you.
Yeah, they should both be in. But I think it's very telling. You know, we keep telling the committee what to do, and the price is very clear what the committee's going to do. Notre Dame's minus 2,000 to make the playoff. Miami's plus 235. So, it's not even a question to the gamblers. It's just not. As for this game, I'm not going to fade Miami. You think they're going to blow them out there? Are you nervous at all?
I am a little bit nervous that Pitt can kind of ugly it up and hang around just a little bit, maybe a backdoor, maybe Jacoby Thomas isn't back for Miami. So we'll see. Anytime there's such stakes in this game, and you've seen them do it before. You've seen them be in a position to lose until they go out and do it. You always have a little bit of concern.
31 degrees, Bear, in Pittsburgh on Saturday for the warm weather Miami team on the road at Heinz Field. I don't know if it's still Heinz Field, but it'll be nice and cold for Miami.
Acrisure Stadium.
Yes. Isn't it so funny how, as a college football fan, we all feel this way? We're like, Miami is clearly better. You're right. They played really well the last 2 weeks, right? They blew at NC State. The game wasn't as close to the final score last weekend. And just the college football fan in us is so concerned in a game when you're clearly better, right? Oregon's clearly better than Washington. I'm still worried about it. You're still worried about Miami, clearly better than Pittsburgh. Should Tennessee fans or Vandy fans be worried about their matchup this weekend? This game matters a lot. Vanderbilt ranked 14th in the country right now. Tennessee 20th. This game is in Knoxville. Tennessee favored by 2.5, somewhere around there. Again, these numbers keep moving. Total 64.5. Sam, I'll go to you first. Any thoughts in this game?
I take the 3, and I take it now because those 3s are starting to disappear. We're starting to see 2.5. So I think we might get a little bit lower as the week goes through. I will be on Vanderbilt, and I would bet that, like I said, ASAP. If you have a 3, get it in, get it done. I also know at some point in this game, Bear, Diego Pavia's mom will make it about her. At some point, she will make something about her in this game. She's dancing and grinding and kissing people. It's all over.
I'll be looking towards playing in the over in this game. Vandy's defense is terrible. I think offensively they'll score some points, but no play on the side. But I think it'll be a high-scoring game, and I'm going to pass on the Diego Pavia mom comment, and I'm going to behave myself here because it is Thanksgiving week, and we hope all of you have a great Thanksgiving. For Geoff, for Bear, thanks again for watching, listening, rate, review, subscribe. Bless you, man. Well, you lose when you win.